Cat John in the Free Psychic Readings and Spiritual Connections group on Facebook. Try to say that after a cup of tea. Requested a reading. Always seems as though people are seeking answers, but they never seem to know what the question is. So, Cat John, we'll ask for the answer to the question that you don't want to ask, which I'm sure is really what it is all about, isn't it? We shall grab the tarot cards here, the Crow's Magic Tarot, and we shall now give them a quick shuffle. And as we shuffle, we just simply say, I ask for the truth on behalf of Cat John, considering that which is significant in their life right now. And I ask for guidance and insight in the name of truth, right conduct, peace, love and non-violence. Blessed be to the crow, the carrier of souls from darkness into light. And we'll just place the tarot over here to the side. I'll deal out 3 cards for the past, the present and the future. In this particular scenario, the past and the future are a moon phase behind and a moon phase ahead. About 28 days. It's roughly the amount of time it takes the moon to go around the earth in one phase, often called a moonth. So the first card represents what's been vibrating about a moonth between now and last moonth, as you would say. And then the immediate future here vibrates with what's about to happen between now and this time next moonth, where Cat John is just around in the middle, about 3 days behind, 3 days ahead, that sort of quarterly sort of phase-ish, if there's such a word, just there in the middle. But let's establish what's been going on in this situation by we'll draw the first card here, and what we'll do is just rotate it slowly here, nice and slowly, not to disturb its energy, and we'll just flip it there and just see what we've got. You've got number 5, the Hierophant, often known as the Hermit. No, it isn't. The High Priest, correction. The Hermit is the Hierophant or the High Priest. Okay, get your teeth in. The High Priest is everything occult, isn't it? Everything often can be related to metaphysics, witchcraft maybe, but usually it's the higher side of things, like the power of prayer and all that sort of thing going on. In this particular case, notice there there's a sage, the energy of a sage there, just vibrating there, maybe a mentor, and maybe that's really what this is all about. I just want to take a look at the star sign there, Taurus, the energy of Taurus. I don't know if you can just put it into view, if you can just see that there, and that's oh, that's my mobile phone. It's the other mobile phone that's losing its charge, so ignore that beeping. So I'll put it on charge now. Taurus, of course, is the raging bull, isn't it? And if you don't get what you want, you probably, over the past 3 or 4 weeks or so, when you haven't got what you want, you've probably been like a bit of a raging bull in a china shop, as you would say. Just hold for leather end. Don't worry about who gets hurt or gets harmed in any way, but certainly why am I focusing on this cube, sort of this cuboid, translucent cuboid object at the top there? Why am I thinking? It sort of reminds you of like a dice, doesn't it? Or well, dice is the plural, or two of die, any dice. So but a bit like casting the die, isn't it? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you've been casting lots or something. One more beep, that's it. Now it's on charge. It won't beep again now. A bit like casting lots, although of course the Hierophant, the High Priest, is not really a representative of a gambling sort of thing, so that's just something that I've sort of locking onto. I don't know why. Notice, of course, it's a major arcana card. Or what's a major arcana card? Well, a major arcana, of course, you got two decks in the tarot, haven't you? You got the major arcana and the minor arcana. With major arcana energies, of course, you haven't got much power to. Well, you've got no power to change it. It's more permanent. Although you still have choices on how you handle the situation. Nevertheless, it's a major part of the situation. So this will be more prominent than any of the other minor cards, if there are any there. Then this will be more important. You could say the most important part of this scenario or this situation that you're in has been what's just happened. And it's based upon this maybe religious. Why am I sort of fighting with gambling with religious belief? You've got the although this is the crow here, I sort of sense the spirit of maybe an eagle as well, because the eagle sort of helps you connect to the higher self, doesn't it, with the spirit, listening to your inner voice and following the spirit and whatever, following and maybe something like that's going on as well with it. Of course, all these objects, these cubes and other things, they're all geometrical objects that may have an occult meaning as well. And maybe certain objects have had that effect upon you. Of course, like the crucifix, it tends to have an effect on a lot of people who've been abused as children when they've been abused and psychologically harmed by, in some cases, permanent, where the actual existence of hell is a real thing, and mention it, and you can literally have an effect and make people freeze because they've been that damaged psychologically that hell is real. It's literally a real thing for them, and the threat of going there is, even though when they've grown up, when they've grown out of it and no longer believe in it, it still has an effect on them. Why am I sort of, not so much that, but why am I sort of sensing as though there's been this conflict, but certainly this soul searching over the past 3 or 4 weeks or so, concerning maybe your religious belief or your belief in the supernatural. I was gonna sort of sense there or say then that I'm sort of feeling like a losing faith in, and or something of that nature. I don't know, but maybe the mentor element there. Maybe you were seeking a mentor because of that. You were seeking somebody to look up to, somebody to guide you, because you no longer you could no longer follow the belief that you were indoctrinated into, and you've discovered that you are you, and that you've got your own belief, if you wish to choose the oppressive belief that was rammed down your throat as a child, then that may be so. But nevertheless, things we move on, don't we? We grow up and grow older, and as we live, we learn, don't we? I want to pull out the next card, which represents the present. This could be, of course, is this the effect of the past? Is the past the cause of it, or is the past the present and the future, or are the past, the present and the future, you could say, all linked together in the sense they're all as one? In the sense of when I pick up this card, you could say, is my hand the cause of the other hand rising, or does my hand and the card rise together, rise and fall together as I lift them together? What is it? So is it just time that separates the past and the future when they're really the same thing? Let's just see, though, as we flip this next card here, we'll just flip it over here to more sage energy, more diviner sort of energy there, divinatory powers. Notice there the King of Cups. The King of Cups, I suppose, is, yes, compassionate, isn't he? And that's I don't even notice there that's got a sort of a Gemini, Cancer, and Virgo going on there, like a thing. But the water, notice there that the cups, the cups, of course, is water, isn't it? The element of water, and the king is often, or in the Crowley deck is the knight, isn't it? And the king is, or the knight in the Crowley becomes the prince. It's a daughter's, it's a daughter, son, mother, father, isn't it, in the Crowley deck? Whereas this is. But the King of Cups here, we stick to this because Crow is king here as we speak, and the king represents the element of fire, spiritual essence, which is linked to the number 1, isn't it? Fire, of course, is related to energy, isn't it? That's related to where the sun transits the meridian, you could say. Notice the bird people are prominent as well here, with I suppose the crow there, or as I thought the eagle, maybe as well, a hint of eagle energy there in the background. But notice there the bird people. The bird people are the guides. They're the guides, aren't they, in the animal spirit kingdom world, as you could call it. The bird people, they are thought to be the guides because they carry the messages from the heavens to the earth, and so they whereas like the fish people, they are the healers, as said, in the water, and of course the fiery lizard people, they're the knowledge, the high knowledge and things like that, aren't they? The dragons and whatever, and of course. And of course the four-legged ones, they walk the earth and they protect. It seems as though here there's been a lot of guidance going on recently, and there is still guidance here. Maybe you found that mentor, or you found that compassionate person. Maybe the king represents even that compassion within you. Maybe. But he's a diviner, he's a sage, and he's a wise person who, of course, can provide guidance for you right now. And Crow has sent that spirit there for you to listen to, or even be or to either listen to, or even be an ear for you to listen to you, even be an ear to listen to you. And I sort of sense both, but maybe the latter. Maybe I sort of sense the latter. This is not really about you wanting to listen to them, although that would be your excuse. This is really about somebody who can listen to you, and then hopefully evaluate what you've said, and then make sense of it in some way. Why am I sort of locking onto that? I don't know. I want to pull out the next card. Notice there, though, just before we move on, notice the king is a minor arcana energy. In this sense, right now you have power to change it. Before you didn't, because of the minor arcana. But the most important part of the situation is what's just recently happened. That's what's most important. But now you have power to change it with whatever advice you've received, or with whatever you've dumped on other people to let them evaluate, or whatever. The King of Cups can be a man. A compassionate man. He could be even a reader, or like a psychic or something like that, who has the power of divination as well, that you may have come into contact with. Maybe I want to pull out the next card to see what potentially is around the corner. Now, if this is a negative energy, which is very, very rare, any of them are, but if it's perceived as negative, then of course it can actually be positive in an ironic sense, because he can be forewarned as forearmed, doesn't he? But of course, beware of complacency if positive. Or is it a bit in the middle? It's another major arcana card here. You've got judgment there, and judgment, of course, that's a Sagittarian fiery energy. Notice there the moon, of course, there. In a lot of tarot decks are usually designed traditionally with a triangle, and then the square underneath as if the triangle of spirit and then matter, as if the essence of the card and then the earthly effect. It's led to introspection. The moon goddess, or the moon there, represents introspection. Notice the bird people again raining down wisdom as doors open, as you become more awakened over the next 3 or 4 weeks or so. And as you metamorphose, as you change, because of maybe what you're being told now, or maybe you're changing in your attempt to change things now, or with you having the power to change things now, it eventually leads to a permanent change in you that you can't help, that you've got no power over. And in the sense of not having power over what's just recently happened, you won't have power over what happens in the immediate future, but nevertheless you'll still be able to have choices and decide how you handle it. But the only power you've got over things at the moment is what's happening now. You can't define yourself by what you did in the past, but you can define yourself by what you're doing now. And what you're doing now is very important, because that will determine on how you change and what doors you go through. But either way, it will lead to further introspection, further questions, and then maybe if another reading exactly the same as this comes along afterwards, I wouldn't be surprised, because it's the continual spiritual process of development, isn't it? I don't know about meeting a person who another reader, but it's the sort of reading, this, isn't it? That I'm sort of locking onto, that could go round in a circle, the same one over and over again, and it'd still be applicable to some degree. But of course, that would just be following patterns and cycles, which is something that you are used to. But of course, if you want to be in control of the situation, maybe how you change will determine upon, of course, how you change, what wisdom rains down upon you there, and of course, maybe from a shamanic point of view, and of course, what you learn through introspection. Notice there the moth that flies toward maybe the light, the inner light that shines in darkest of hours. And that goes toward. But notice, even though it flies, it's attracted to the light of the moon. The moonlight is no such thing as moonlight, is there? There is no such thing as moonlight. It is merely a reflection of the light that shines from the sun behind it. So maybe the moonlight, or the light that shines on the moon, the reflected light on this moon of yours, is that light that shines from the light within you, which is in with all. It's actually within all of us. It's that the light of the world, isn't it? And it's up to you what you do with it. And that, from that perspective, but of course, you've got power to change things now. But when you awaken, you will change, and that's maybe when you really realise, maybe grow up as well, and to some degree, or mature anyway. And maybe that's when you'll not seek, but that's when you will receive the wisdom that you so much longed for over the past 3 or 4 weeks or so. And maybe couldn't find it because it was within you all the time, wasn't it? And that's why you want somebody to listen to you, because it's within you for them to listen and learn from you and then evaluate what you've told them. So maybe the answer is within you after all. What we'll do though for now, we shall cast a shadow over these cards which have now for you spoken.